company than pictures, no matter how skillfully rendered. If Isaac were here, beside her, she might have been able to forget about the War Office and the worry lines around her mother's eyes. The dashing, fair-haired prince on the page in front of her was not nearly as handsome as her childhood friend. His dark hair, his eyes... She snapped the book shut. This train of thought would lead nowhere. Isaac Campbell was little more than a dream, or a fancy. He was kind, a bit of a tease, but at 2 years her senior, he still treated her like nothing more than the daughter of his father's business partner. Other girls caught his eye. She'd seen him flirt with them. But not her. She and Isaac were chums. Nothing more. But maybe one day... No, don't start that, she chided herself. A shriek pierced through her rambling thoughts. Laura looked up, instantly back in the present. Tires squealed. She dropped her book, all romantic thoughts vanishing as she moved toward the scene in disbelief, pulled to it like a magnet to metal. She ran, pushing through the crowd, then stopped. It couldn't be real. No, it couldn't be. A second shriek. This one came from inside Laura, rippling through her young body with so much force that she fell to her knees. The image of her mother, crumpled and broken in the street, burned itself in her memory. And with it came the knowledge that this moment changed everything. Chapter 1. Buffalo, New York, 1924. Laura tightened her grip on her beaded handbag as she walked the maze of paths through the zoo, bound for her tree. Big Frank's enclosure, with its elephant sculptures and proud stone edifice, caused her to pause, but only for a moment. Today, not even the waving trunk of her elephant friend could entice her to stop. She would have time to say hello to her four-legged friends later. Before reaching the sea lions, she turned left and slowed her pace. Her heartbeat did the opposite, quickening with each cautious step as she approached the most awe-inspiring feature of the entire zoo. The letter tree, or so she called it, tucked in a corner that had once been part of the nearby park. It had been easier to get to the maple before the zoo expansion claimed this section of land a year ago. Since then, she'd had to enter the zoo, pay admission, and work her way through the crowd to get to her unconventional mailbox. Today, her quest would have to wait, seeing as she was not alone in the normally quiet corner of the zoo. A woman clinging tightly to a man's arm stepped into the shade of Laura's maple. She giggled. He worked his hands around her waist and leaned closer. Without meaning to, Laura stared at the lovely couple, both tall and with matching dark hair. The way they looked at each other left Laura gawking and longing for a man to look at her in such a way. Afraid they would take their escapade too far in her presence, Laura stepped on a fallen branch. The cracking of wood startled the couple who, to Laura's great relief, stopped ogling each other and, without so much as a word, turned their backs on her and walked toward the crowd and the animals. Laura looked down at her polished Bradshaw black buckle pumps while she waited for the pair to disappear from her sight. Her father's shoe factory made the finest shoes, though those who favored Campbell shoes would argue theirs were superior. It seemed a lifetime ago that Bradshaw and Campbell had been united. She ought to be proud that her father was such a successful factory owner, and on occasion she was. But those instances were rare. Normally, the well-fitted shoes only reminded her that she would always be second in her father's eyes. His tenderness had been tossed aside in his tireless pursuit of success and vengeance. She buried the toe of her glistening shoe into the soft dirt until it lost its sheen.
"Excuse me, miss. Have you dropped something in the dirt?"
She took a quick step backward. In front of her stood a white-haired man with rosy cheeks and a welcoming smile.